The wind sliced across my face like a thin blade the moment I set foot in Russia's far north. There was no sound, only the howling wind tearing through endless snowfields. In a land where temperatures plunge to 60 degrees Celsius, sometimes even 71 degrees Celsius, the cold is no longer just weather. It becomes a character, a force, a constant negotiation that humans must engage in every single day just to stay alive. In the distance, I saw small figures erecting the frame of a chum, a conical structure made of lightweight wooden poles, covered in multiple layers of reindeer hides. No concrete, no steel, only the materials the Arctic itself allows them to use. Yet it is precisely the simplicity that has kept them alive for centuries. Out here, the only thing that decides whether you live or die is speed, a man said as he pulled a leather rope tight. Be slow for just a few minutes, and the wind will steal the feeling from your fingertips. Watching them work, I understood that every movement follows pure survival logic, fast, precise, and without hesitation. Don't look away. Stay with me. Morning in the tundra begins with the clashing sound of reindeer antlers and the faint smell of smoke rising inside the chum. In America, we talk about morning routines. For the Nenets, morning is a measure of whether their reindeer herd is healthy, because it is their only livelihood, their only possession, and the pride of the entire tribe. I sat on a wooden sled pulled by reindeer, gliding across vast, frozen plains. The scenery felt surreal, almost dreamlike, standing in stark contrast to the biting cold that pierced through every layer of clothing. For the Nenets, migration is not a choice. It is law. The reindeer must find fresh lichen. When the snow grows too thick, they must move on. When winter arrives, they head for temporary shelter. When the sea ice opens, they must outrun the changing northern winds. In the middle of this journey, I felt as though I was walking inside a living documentary, where every step represents a chapter of humanity's history still unfolding. In the Arctic tundra, where the cold cuts deep below zero, a meal is never just food. It is a survival strategy, a thin line between continuing the journey and being forced to stop forever. That is why Nenets cuisine, though rough and unrefined, carries a survival wisdom that the modern world can barely comprehend. During special rituals or before long migrations, when a reindeer is slaughtered, the Nenets eat fresh meat right on the spot. Warm slices from the tenderloin or liver are cut and shared immediately. The reason for eating raw meat is not just tradition, it is deeply scientific. Natural vitamin C and fresh meat allows them to survive where not a single vegetable grows. The perfect balance of protein and fat helps maintain body heat in extreme cold. And most importantly, no firewood is needed, a resource painfully scarce in windswept snowfields. For Americans, it might resemble a kind of polar sashimi, but rougher, stronger, and far richer in cultural meaning. For the Nenets, every bite is not just calories, it is a sacred bond between humans and reindeer, the animals that have carried them through thousands of years of blizzards. On calm days, they cook Arctic fish in aluminum pots placed at the center of the chum. The scent of hot fish rises unexpectedly, like a warm blanket for the body in a place where it feels as though no scent should exist at all. During migration, they always carry thin bread dipped in reindeer fat. It may look simple and unappealing, but it is high-calorie fuel that allows them to travel hundreds of kilometers across ice and snow. Nenets cuisine has no decoration, no seasoning, no indulgence. And perhaps that is exactly what makes it so compelling, a cuisine born from hardship, sustained by respect for nature, and perfected through radical simplicity. In the Arctic, they do not eat for pleasure. They eat to keep moving. And it is this truth that makes Nenets culture so profoundly captivating. As the sky deepened into dark blue and fainter auroras shimmered behind drifting clouds, I felt an absolute stillness settle within my mind. The Nenets do not try to conquer nature. They do not fight snowstorms, they learn how to move with the wind. They do not own the reindeer. They live alongside them in a symbiotic relationship. Their existence is a lesson in humility, adaptation, and respect for the natural cycle of life. Here, humans are too small to be arrogant. And precisely because of that, they endure, in a land where nature offers no favors to life. The Nenets do not merely survive in a place where survival seems impossible. They live in harmony. They endure. They preserve culinary knowledge, lifestyles, and philosophies that have sustained them for thousands of years. In a world that changes too quickly, the Nenets remind us that sometimes what keeps humanity standing is not progress, but the ability to respect the ancient rules that nature set down at the very beginning. The wind howled like a wild beast, cutting across my face, lashing my skin as if thousands of tiny shards of glass were striking it at once. The thermometer hanging from my backpack read -51 degrees Celsius. The man guiding me, a tall, lean Nenets with jet black eyes, simply smiled and said, "Today is warm. If you want the real thing, it has to be -60, -70 degrees Celsius." That was how the journey I would never forget began, a journey into the distant tundra of the land of birch trees, Russia. Where the Nenets nomads still live exactly as their ancestors did thousands of years ago, herding reindeer, following seasonal migrations, pitching chum tents, and surviving on snow and ice. Standing on the frozen plateau, I finally understood why this place is called land not meant for the faint-hearted. No forests. No shelter. Only sky, earth, and relentless wind. In my travel journal, I wrote, "Here, silence has a color, white." And cold has a shape. It squeezes your chest, slips through every seam of your clothes, and crawls deep into your thoughts. And yet, in a place that seems impossible to inhabit, the Nenets have built their own world. A world of endurance so persistent it borders on the unreal.
Смотри.
After 2 hours crossing the snow by reindeer sled, I stood before a chum, the traditional Nenets tent. From afar, it looked like a small hill made of animal skins. But stepping inside revealed a miracle. The temperature can reach plus 20 degrees Celsius, while outside it is minus 50 degrees Celsius. A Nenets woman worked silently with a sharp knife, lifting and layering reindeer hides onto the wooden frame, as if she were stitching the sky back together. She told me quietly, "Without reindeer hide, no one could live here." I sat beside the fire, my gloves steaming gently. In the endless Arctic night, this small tent became an optical box, the only light coming from flames and voices telling stories, echoing through the frozen darkness. In Yakutia, where temperatures can drop to minus 73 degrees Celsius, people still fish using the ancient method known as manka. Not only the Nenets, but many indigenous Siberian communities have learned how to coexist with this unforgiving cold. I followed a Yakut fisherman as he drilled through ice nearly 1.5 meters thick. As he lowered his wooden fishing gear into the water, I asked, "Aren't you afraid of the cold?" He shrugged. "If the fish can live, then so can people."
Щука была. А вот пришла.
The water instantly froze around the edge of the hole. The cold does not wait for anyone. I peered down, into a dark blue-black world, where fish moves through a web of ice. When the first silverfish was pulled up, I swear even the screaming wind fell silent for a moment to listen. Life here is not about conquering nature, but about moving in rhythm with it. The Nenets do not fight the wind. They change direction. They do not store excessive food. They follow the reindeer. They do not build permanent houses. They build chum tents, which can be dismantled in 2 hours and moved within 3. An elderly man told me by the fire, "We are nomads because nature is nomadic. Standing still is what makes survival impossible." I looked at his cracked hands and understood, this land teaches something people in cities often forget: acceptance. As night fell, the sky opened into a ribbon of green-purple aurora. I stood in the snow, my feet numb, but my heart burning warm. And I realized, the Nenets, the Inuit, and the Arctic nomads are not surviving. They are living. Living by the rhythm of the earth, by maps drawn by the wind, by the legacy of their ancestors. And I, merely a traveler, learned this: warmth does not come from fire. It comes from people refusing to abandon one another. In a modern world obsessed with control, this way of life reminds us, adaptation can be more powerful than domination. This journey was not just a trip. It was a reminder that on this earth, there are still places where life is not measured by money, but by willpower, unity, and ancestral memory. And when I left the tundra, I knew I carried with me a piece of the Arctic soul. Small, perhaps, but enough to remember for a lifetime.
Все нормально, откочевали.